Hello everyone. So we are back with another video for our DSA playlist. Today what we are going to do is that I am going to write two programs. One would be to reverse an array. The other one would be to find the sum, find the target sum if a user has given us a value for a sum and we have to search and we have to search that in the array that which two indexes of the array add up to that sum. And as a bonus program, we are also going to write how to search an element in an array if the user has input an element. So now let's set up our files. The first program we are going to do is for reversing an array. So let's name our file array reverse and make sure to always write .cpp. So let's start to code. So we would be including the iostream and then using namespace. And so now we could create a function to take the input of an array. So taking input in the array with the return type of void. Function can be named as input and we will pass it the array along with the array's size. So now to take an input we will use a for loop that will run from i's zeroth index array's zeroth index till the end of the array. And then for each index it will ask the user to enter the value for the array's indices. And now to reverse the array, we will again pass the arrays. We will again pass the array and the array's size. Just a minute. And for this, we will again run a for loop, but it will start from the end of the array until the start of the array, so that we are given the answers in reverse. So we will see out ARR's ith index. Okay, so what is the error over here? Let's ignore it for now. So now let's write our main function. So in this we are going to initialize our variables size, and then we are going to ask the user to enter the size of the array. The user will input size, and then we will initialize our array with the given size. Now we will ask the user to enter the values for the array, and now we will call our input function and pass it the array and the size. Just a minute over here. We haven't included yeah, so now it's good. And then we will pass handle. And now we will tell the user that the array printed in reverse is And now we'll call our array reverse function and pass it the array along with its size. Yeah, so we are done with our program. Now let's run our program. So to enter the size of the array, we can take an ideal size for 5, and we will enter the values such as 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and look, now it has printed the values in reverse, which is 9, 8, 7, 6, and 5. So now moving on to our next program, that would be target sum. Let us create our file. Yeah. So again, we would be including our IString, and we will again create an input function in which we will pass the array and its size, and we will run a for loop. So now here's the deal, that target sum function which we will be creating. So what we want to do is that we want to create a function in such a way that if the user, given that the user has input the array and given its size, it will again pass an integer value to the program, and then our function has to be written in such a way that it should search for such indices in the array that add up to that following sum. So now let's try to code it. We will write the function with the return type of void, and let us name it target sum in its abbreviation, and pass it the array size and int target. Yeah, so in this case, what will happen is that we will run a for loop, actually two for loops, one which will run from the start of the array till the end of the array, and inside this for loop we will run another for loop that will run from I plus 1 till the end of the array. So now what we want to do is that if the ith index and the jth index, if we add them and if it equals to this target, we will output that what indices of the array equals the target. So we will definitely use an if statement, and we will pass a check that if arrays ith index plus arrays jth index is equal to target, then our program should see out the values that add up to the target are. So here what we are going to do is that we will see out arrays ith index and separated by a comma, and arrays jth index. Yeah, so I think it should work for any cases. Yeah, so now let's write our main function. So initializing our variables, asking the user for the size of the array. Okay, so we will not declare int again over here. The user will input the size, and now we will initialize the array. Now we will ask the user to enter the elements of the array. Enter the elements of the array. So now what we will do is that we will call our input function, pass it the array and the array's size. And now we will ask the user enter the target value, and he or she would enter target. And now we will call our target sum function. We will pass it the array's size and the target. And yeah, so pretty much that's it for this program. I think it should run absolutely fine. So now let's check. Yeah, so we will enter the size of the array to be 5, and we will pass 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now let's add the target value for 7. By the way, not for 7, but for 3. So yeah, so the values that add up to the target are 1 and 2. So now we could also rerun the program again and check it for different values too, if it is working for multiple cases too. So in this case, it is printing us multiple values, and this works for pretty much all cases. That, as in this case, the value 2 and 5 add up to 7, and 3 and 4 add up to 7. So our program is good to go with the following lead code problem. So now let us write the last program for this video, which would be to search an element. Actually, I'll copy the input function. Okay, so we didn't include the hash. What is wrong over here? Okay, so now we can create a void function, void search function, and we will pass it the array's size, and the element which we want to search in the array. So in this case, we will again run two for loops, as we did in the previous question. So, but in this case, our check would be that if ARRs, by the way, we don't need two for loops in this case. We would only need a single for loop, and it will check that if the array's ith index is equals to the element, then it should print that element is found with the value. I think we should print the index of the element. Element is found at the index. Now let's see out I. Yeah, so this should work pretty much. And now let's write the main program, and we will declare our variables, which would be size and element, and ask the user to enter the size of the array, and he will enter the size. And now we will ask the user to enter the array's elements. We haven't initialized the array actually. And we will now call the input function, pass it the array and the size. Now we will ask the user to enter the element to search in the array. And now we will call our search function, which will in which we would pass the array's size, and the element that the user has entered to search. So this should work without any errors. Now let's run our program. Yeah, so let us input the size 5 and enter the elements 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Why hasn't it asked for the element? Okay, so we haven't asked the user to enter the element to search. This is where we did it a bit wrong. Now it should run completely fine. So 5 is the size of the array. We will search for 4. So yeah, it is at the it is at the third index. As you can see, 1 is at the 0th index, 2 is at the first index, 3 is at the second index, 4 is at the third index, and 5th is at the fourth index. So our program is completely fine. So that's it for today. These three small codes, some very basic lead code problems that develop a bit logic. And the search function, we could also modify it. Instead of giving it instead of having a function with the return type void, we could optimize it to have a return type of bool. And actually this is linear search, which I would be covering in the next upcoming videos, both binary search, linear search, both the algorithms. And in the next video I would be creating a complete project for a student management system. We would be doing concepts of OOP in it, and it would be a project that would be having file handling in it too. So stay tuned and like, share, and subscribe.